everyone, welcome to Real Talk. I'm Dr. Reshma, your host. Today we are going to talk about creating safe environment at workplace. Workplace sexual harassment. It is a form of gender discrimination which violates a woman's fundamental right to equality and right to life, guaranteed under Articles 14, 15, and 21 of the Constitution of India. Workplace sexual harassment not only creates an insecure and hostile working environment for women, but also impedes their ability to deliver in today's competing world. Apart from interfering with their performance at work, it also adversely affects their social and economic growth and puts them through physical and emotional suffering. In one of the surveys done for the US and UK, sexual harassment was identified as the leading form of misconduct they feel should be addressed proactively by 67% of respondents. Many a times, women don't talk about it. These kind of complaints go unreported, and the reasons are fear of retaliation and an expectation that nothing will be done. So today we will be talking about that. Today we have with us Dr. Raina Khatri Tandon, founder and CEO, Right to Rise, and a Posh training specialist. She is the founder and CEO of Right to Rise. She is two times TEDx speaker and a keynote speaker on various platforms. She is the president of Wiki Maharashtra Training and Development. She has successfully bagged many awards, interviews, and accolades, and has been featured in international magazines for the value she adds in the field of ensuring child safety and women's safety. She is a recipient of the Exceptional Women of Excellence by the Women Economic Forum and an expert panelist with the Center for Global Inclusion 2019. She has published and presented research papers on equity and inclusion and diversity, equity, and inclusion at various international forums. She is the only women leader speaker at WLS Inclusion Summit 2021 and a proud recipient for her organization for the best organization into DE&I 2021 by Global HR Transform Forums. A heartfelt welcome, Dr. Rana.
Thank you so much, Reshma. Indeed, I should say Dr. Reshma, very well acquainted because you have also a degree which I really feel proud of. And it's amazing to be back with you today after a long time on your show, feeling very proud. So, all over to you, and thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, Dr. Rana, for being a part of the show because this topic is very near and dear to you and me both. And I think there is the need of the hour is to talk about this issue very openly and breaking that silence we've actually gathered around this topic. So let's talk about this today so that everybody benefits from it. So, Dr. Rana, I would like to first ask you, what has inspired you on your journey to work in this entire sector where you're talking about child safety and women's safety?
A very interesting question, but very intriguing as well, because I guess many of them come back and ask me, why only this topic? So I cannot say why only because sometimes it's destined to happen and there's no specific reason. But yes, the flow of events of my life has taken me in such a way, very gradually and eventually, that I've come into the area of Posh. I will probably give a little background to that why am I here. Of course, having a background of electronic and communication engineering and then going ahead doing my masters in IT and VLSI, it had nothing to do with the area of empowering and transforming. But one thing that was always embedded in me when I was very young is that I always wanted to do something very unique and stand out in terms of creating a change when it comes to the world. And that always felt that there is this little worm in me wriggling, saying that, this is not good enough. I think we need to do more. That is why I couldn't settle for even a six-figure salary when I had done my masters, my first masters and PhDs into IT field, which was more into VLSI chip design. That I said when I came back from doing all this study and working in for the big banners that we know, the big brands. Um, there was yet something that was telling me, transformation and empowering lives or touching lives or enabling lives, whatever you say today, is basically a very deep word. So, intriguing more into my life, trying to understand what I really wanted to settle with, I got into this training world where training, coaching, mentoring are words that we get to see big evangelists and great leaders who we know already. Having to understand how they work, what they work, I came into this specific area of leadership and into leadership, probably the women leadership as Posh Act you see today. Why this area? Of course, there was two instances that I can narrate as I'm taking you through this. One, over a corporate event, I think I got to engage with a person, a man who actually came up after my training session, and he said that, you know what, Rena, it's so much deeper as you have taken us through the session that I wish to share something very personal that I am undergoing for quite a period of time with my senior manager who's a lady, and did not gather the courage. So keeping aside even women speaking up, this was the extreme opposite. There was a man coming up and saying that something like this has happened and I seek your help. uh, it's not easy, first of all, for both genders to speak. It's not about man or women. It's about the emotions that bring up when we are undergoing such a serious crime. I would call it a crime because, indeed, even touching a person or belittling a person on communication itself is a crime. So, going ahead and seeing the deeper assaults, the rape, the pornography, the sexual demand of favors actually creates a deep scar in you. Okay, so I actually couldn't sleep that night after the person came up to me and he started sharing the entire instance and said, why don't you help me and how can I get your help? Because I think working as a simple trainer, what we do is basically we deliver the content that is required as per the need of the organization. We don't really go into the crux of how it is implemented, what are the processes, what are the systems, and that's what we do today. Understanding a more deeper approach to anything that we go ahead and do. So, of course, after that, the journey continues. I went into a deep understanding of law, and I probably completed my master's in law. I went ahead, did my human psychology and child rights. And today, I can actually say that, we have deeply worked, whether it's a research paper, whether it's educating us, whether it's a competency, the skill, the people who are also in the unit, including you and me, have actually evolved over a period of time. So it's not only about children, it's not only about male, it's not only about female. The journey was so impactful by talking to each one of them. That itself has transformed me as a person that, there is so much purpose, there's so much vision, there's so much of value that we have as individuals, including you, because you have also been a very eminent part of Right to Rise. And we always see that it's not about just a leader, it's about many of those leaders who are emerging out from us. So that's a little about why I am there in this field and how it happened. But yes, it just happened. It's not like it was decided, that's for sure.
What an evolution! What an evolution! What a journey, Dr. Raina. Because when you talk about transformation, when you talk about making a change, making an impact in people's lives, it starts with yourself. And I can see that the transformation that has happened at your level also, and that's really empowering. And I'm sure people can really gain a lot from you today when we are talking about it in deeper sense. Yeah.
Indeed.
So I mean, whenever we talk about sexual harassment at workplace, we are talking about how can we create an enabling environment. How can we create that positive environment, that safe environment at workplace where women or men, in fact, or men, all are being able to develop and be able to have that kind of support system in the workplace, and they're able to really give back to the company also in that form. So it's all about that change that we're talking about. So I would just want to ask you, what is, in your opinion, is all about creating that safe environment and what are the benefits that a company can reap with that kind of environment?
A very valuable question to not only individuals as own, or but also for the startups and entrepreneurs who set up their journey into entering this space of being a leader, and also being somebody who's running their company and setup. Because we already have companies having certain systems and processes, but I'll tell you how Posh works and how it can be enabling when it comes to implementation. Uh, a lot of them come back to us and ask us, since we were evolving from pandemic, was it important to have something like an entire structure for Posh? People do understand that the basic necessity is just probably creating an annual report as a compliance, doing an awareness, and probably having a committee in place, without
Right.
understanding a little about who each member should be and what is their role, their tenure, their period, why are they supposed to be competent and skilled, because every stage requires them to do certain procedures. So when we are actually having this system in place, we always say it is starts with awareness, because when everybody is aware, at least you are one step away from creating multiple incidences which may be occurring into deep dive sexual assault or sexual harassment. So the first step always we say is creating a lot of awareness in the people. It may vary if you're a call center and you don't really have time and bandwidth for this different learning management, or probably going ahead and just doing an awareness of a short program. Or even when people are getting in, the induction program or the orientation carries the awareness itself, which many companies are implementing. Another important thing is just one awareness session is not good enough. Just imagine about you brushing your teeth only once a day, okay, and probably that once, maybe only once a month. So the amount of repetitions that happen obviously will give you a good quality teeth. Understand that teeth doesn't mean only white. It means that the
Right.
enamel, the quality, the preference, the duration of it keeping over the long period of time and not falling off or having any kind of other issues with related to that gives you the amount of grounding or the foundation you've done with it. The same thing, if you're saying that I do one awareness session in a year, you think people across in the organizations or people who are coming in time and again into your setup, how do you expect them to be aware? Also understanding that they're all coming from various strata, various sectors, various religions, and various states and union territories from which India emerges. So India is not like any other nation or country where you have only one kind of a religion or one kind of people who are evolving. We are the most exorbitant and the most unique country with so many different people, not only with religions, class, creed, sector, but also with the way we think. So we
Correct.
need to do them time and again. So when people ask me how many awareness sessions do we need to have in a year, I tell them the basic requirement as per law is just one.
Yeah.
But it's always advisable to have at least two or three. And if you have a constant roll of people going out and in, then you should actually tab into having various dates and times in the year when you could have this awareness happen. The next step is forming your committee and having competent people, whether it's the external member or having people internally in terms of the presiding officer, the other committee members. It's always about whether you can commit to the role. It's not about, okay, can I keep the CEO? Can I keep the HR? Can I keep XYZ? Can I keep the manager? You can keep anybody. The law doesn't say don't keep anybody. And even the external member is somebody who should be competent about the posh laws. Not an advocate, not a lawyer, not anybody who's just coming in as an advisory or a psychologist. It's supposed to be a very clear cut understanding that they need to be working with women and women empowerment, understanding the posh laws and the implementation to a much deeper level of how they can solve these situations in case there is a case. So if you really have that competency, then yes, you can be one. So there is no no's that you cannot be one. So consider yourself to be equipped with the right knowledge, skills, competency, and the processes to follow this act, and I'm sure you're the right fit there. Second, having a committee, having a policy, having the awareness is a basic structure. But why do better organizations do a lot of compliance activities is because they need to understand that when you do so many activities periodically, it could be something very casual, something very fun, but having the implementation of the structure inside that activity, which goes right into their heads bang on.
It's about drilling
So
it into them.
absolutely. So it's about getting that activity and the food for thought, the outcome of that right into their heads. And that's good enough. It could be in a play mode, could be in a different interactive mode, it could be online, it could be offline, it could be virtual, it could be something that is very engaging. Even a small coffee meet with a theme can be as engaging of having people talk about equality. So it's
Right.
not about just always about trainings. It's a lot of different skill sets and different tools that come in, which I guess today trainers and coaches and mentors and many different professionals are very, very adequately using in the most beautiful way.
Right.
Next coming in is how efficient do you implement this over a period of the entire year, and finally uh, keeping in mind when the policies are, and the annual reports and the audits have to be done, because without having a proper audit system you cannot be a better system every year. You're just trying to push things for the betterment, and that's only going to lower your productivity and also use a lot of resources which may not be required. You can do this much with a lot of people, and you cannot do any productivity also having the maximum number of people. So
Right.
it's completely an understanding that the laws have to be followed, the knowledge has to be there, the competency has to be there, and every day the laws are changing. So you going back to the foundation from where you have actually learned all these things all the time and again, and being able to attend at least few sessions will also keep on brushing you with the new sections, with the new amendments. And there are many who are certified from us who are coming in time and again saying, hey, do you have this course running? Do you have the practitioner? Do you have the IC specialist? Do you have the auditor? Do you have this? Can I sit down and just revise my skill sets back? Can I go back and do what are the additional programs that you do? Because that helps them to structure out how they can plan into their own, their own systems, their own companies, their own setups where they can cater to their clients. So I would
So it
say
is
that is
all,
something. Yeah,
it is
it's all
all
interlinked.
about interlinked. Yeah, it is all
Yes,
interlinked. And if you want to talk about implementation, you have to do certain things on a continuum basis. You can't just do it like a
absolutely.
one off kind of a program and that's it, you've done the obligation and that's all. It's not, but it's all about doing it and making it a part of your company and a part of the process in the company. Then only we
Absolutely.
can.
You've actually banged on to it. It's something that we need to constantly be working, and as enablers, the best thing we can do is not probably enforce every time a particular way or a structure to them. It's always about getting to understanding the need, the doing the TNI and the TNA for every organization to see what works, what doesn't work there. Because as I said, people, sectors, conditions are all different everywhere. So it's never a one foot for all, but yes, even though the law is the same, we all implement it is every time in a better way so that, it makes it more feasible for the people there and not a difficult thing.
Right, right. Dr. Rena, I have this question here. I mean, whenever you talk about Posh, you talk about, creating a safe workspace. One thing is the policy, the other thing is the act, the other thing is your committee, right? And the awareness that you've created. But apart from that, always there is a problem that many women who come to me also when we're talking about leadership and all those kind of things, and at that moment they say that there is a gray area where sexual
Yeah.
harassment is concerned. There's a gray area because for you it may mean something and for the other person it may mean something else. So what amounts to sexual harassment as per the act?
Okay, so we'll just redefine what exactly is sexual harassment. As the Act says,
Yeah.
the Section 2.2N of the entire Act reiterates that anything that is unwanted, unwelcomed, uh, physical, verbal, non-verbal conduct of sexual nature, direct, indirect, or implied and explicit. So here we are talking about five aspects. Number one, physical contact or advances. Number two, making sexually colored remarks, making a sexual demand or request of sexual favors, showing any kind of pornography, any other physical, verbal, non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. So we are talking about different elements But the crux of the story is when you have anything unwanted, unwelcomed coming to you, which is sexual in nature. And the important aspect that needs to be banged on every now and then is it with consent or not? Because
Right.
when there is consent in anything, then it is not considered sexual harassment. So anything that is consensual and still happening is something that we cannot control because it is already set a particular. You have already given a yes and moved ahead. So probably bringing in a no later has to have a very strong and valid foundation. Why? Why are you now going back? But if it's throughout something that is non-consensual and still sexual in nature, then it comes under the purview of sexual harassment. So
Right.
a lot of people come back and just want to take revenge and they just put up some kind of stance against a guy or a girl and they say नहीं उसने promotion नहीं दिया तो इसके लिए sexual harassment हो गया उसने probably pay high दिया तो इसके लिए sexual harassment हो गया. Is all about even the people who are absolutely new and people who are just probably walked in. You know, if they are not actually understanding the culture of the organization, then it can go to the level of just coming up with something called harassment and not sexual harassment. With the understanding that, you know, this guy is somebody I just want to move out and take my situation there. So, we always say that culture sensitization, understanding the company, setting the values, having a good orientation program, telling them that what is expected, what is not, is very important. So, as much as campus to cooperate is a very important program that most corporates and most campuses are doing, along with that, there should be another important approach that we always feel is during the talent acquisition. When people are picking up the right people, there should be an orientation separately kept to understand, you know, what is acceptable, what is non-acceptable behavior, and there should be an element of HR systems with regard to Posh saying that, you know, whatever said and done you've done so far, but when you're coming into our setup, you're supposed to follow these norms because that is what is the set culture of my organization. And this is the same even for newcomers. For example, you and I start a company today. We are a private limited company individually operating with 423 people completing 5 years, which is a very, very proud achievement for us today. But having said that, the day one when I started, I still remember a lot of interns, a lot of new people who were coming in. They always used to have this fun element in them that, you know, when they are coming in and when they are walking into an organization, probably they take certain things for granted from the owner, assuming that, you know, this is how I operate, you need to manage with me. But if the leader doesn't set his own borderlines, then the other people don't know what to follow. So
Right.
I always say, as much as it comes from the top down approach, the bottom to top
Bottom.
also has to be set. Okay, they also have to be welcome. They also have to be told, we're happy to welcome you, but somewhere we meet in between. It's not that you are with a different approach and I would like a different approach. Then it becomes very totally unaligned, which may create a lot of problems later and unexpectedly. Okay, they just come out of a blue and it's very difficult to control them. So, yeah, setting the stage is always better, like we
Right.
always do for any
From
kind
the
of,
beginning.
yes, from the beginning. So,
Yeah.
we have suggested this to many organizations to start off, including organizations that are uh, you know, they are working in the space of, say, finance, say stocks, they shares, they a lot to do with 24 hours customer care, 24 hours call center, because they don't really have so much time to spend on training each and every employee because their numbers keep growing by the day. So for them, I think doing the orientation in the beginning itself matters, though they work on very small things which are attached to their orientation program. But it's quite work well for them because then, you know, at least they know what's in for them when they are walking into a new place.
Right.
So yeah,
Right. Like Dr. Rana, we were discussing that most of the women don't want to, complain, give a written
yeah,
complaint. Some say that is anonymous okay, but like Posh always emphasizes on a written complaint, so
Yes.
many feel that they won't get justice, they won't, and in fact they will be, held up for being, taking that whole call of complaining against the person. So what do you think about this?
See, when we set any rule, it's always both side if you don't follow it, and it's both side if you follow it. I'm sure if our leaders have set the rule that we don't throw rubbish and we throw them in the bin, it's upon us whether we really throw it in the bin or we throw it out of our window or we throw it on somebody's head. Okay, a rule is a rule. When rights are given, the rights are probably given for all citizens, not for man or for women. But yes, the special privileges of a Posh Act is given for women for the only reason is understanding that we can never be equal, because there is a different strength that comes in a man and there is a different vulnerability and care and emotions that come in a woman. That doesn't make either of them weak or strong. It's just that that's how they are built. And even if we talk about equality, we only talk about equality at a certain stance of professionalism. We cannot be equal personally because we are built for different roles as per our birth. Now, coming to this stance of whether we should be following a rule and why are people not giving written complaints? If the law is very strict and the law enforces that everybody follows it strictly, would we have not had a better nation, right?
Right.
You and me know that we are enablers of change. The number of legal professionals today, over a 1.4 billion crore or 1.4 billion population today, we are only about 10 to 20,000, which is not even like 1/10 or 1/20th. Okay,
True.
it's a very small number. Now, if all these officials stand together and do things ethically, I'm sure there will be some change. So we're trying to create more enablers of change so that there can be some help and support to these leaders. Having said that, I cannot control what everybody does on their own setup. I can only say that right to rise heroes have been taught, or right to rise gender champions have been taught, that they are supposed to do things ethically because our values stand for ethics, respect, dignity, rights, transparency, and growth, so that we help people enable. That is why we say everybody has the right to rise. But if we have to go and change every person around us, it can only start from us. Secondly, if we do what we are expected to do, I'm sure there is no reason of going to law, police, or government and saying, hey, I'm not getting justice. But we have to first trust on ourselves. Do I want justice? If I want justice, I think women is the most powerful tool God has made today. Okay, we don't need to get any empowerment. We are the most empowered in the world. So if you really want justice, you will find the right way and the right tools to find that justice. You will give it in the right way, in the written form. You will see what I can do to get that justice. And of course, nothing is easy. As much as you bring out a baby during pregnancy, that's hard. As much as you start your new venture, that's hard. As much as you learn about the finances and manage your company, that's hard even if you don't know. So this is not going to be easy as well. This is about your own self-respect. But are you wanting to get it, or are you wanting to play around it, or are you wanting to not have the courage to fight for it, is up to you. Otherwise, you can always go around the whole world and shouting out and saying, hey, this person is not helping, that person is not helping, I'm not getting justice. We are not here to blame law, order, system, government, or constitution, or even the people at the workplace. We have to see how we can create that change for us to get the respect above all. So, why we actually say written is also very specific, because if we are going to say something verbally to A, I'm not really sure you're going to be saying the same story to B, or probably to the committee, or probably to the workforce, or to your parents, or anybody around you. And we keep everything very confidential and restricted in the areas of Posh when it comes to workplace. But I, again, time and again, we say that again, this is only followed. I can only vouch for people from Right to Rise. I cannot be going and seeing what other people do. So, if you give it in written, one, we have the proof for it. Two, We can go back to it. 3, we can go back to the back data and say this has happened thrice, but no action has been taken. 4, we have some kind of a surety that the lady is also coming up to a commitment of wanting justice. 5, we also know that she's not going to go back. So there are many reasons why it should be written. And if it's not written for some reason, she's incapacitated, I'm sure the law has given other means that you can get your legal hair or your psychologist or your psychiatrist or a friend or a legal guardian or a nominee who is your life guardian to come and do it. So yes, there will be a lot of fear. Yes, there's a lot of inhibition. And we all know it's because some people don't ethically operate or they are not actually giving you the justice that you need. But keeping them in mind, I'm not sure if we should stop seeking justice just because of the 1/10 people who are not doing their work well.
Right,
So
right.
I would not want to blame anybody, but I would
Lovely.
still say go back to yourself and seek what do you really want.
Right, right. So it's all about you as a person. What do you want, and how far do you want to go with all the efforts to get that justice? And I'm sure will be given, because there are mechanisms that have been laid down by the government. There are guidelines, there are rules that will really, that are very in support to women who need this kind of support, right? So thank you, Dr. Raina. This is really wonderful talking to you. I don't know whether there are questions. Let's see if we have any questions so that we'll be able to answer them.
Yeah.
Okay. Are government staff also educated about POSH? Okay.
Okay, so hi Archana, hi Rakesh, hi Meenal. A very good evening to all your lovely viewers. Thank you very much for all of you for joining. So, is Posh only for females? Of course not. It's for everybody at workplace. And is it for government staff also? Uh, Posh under its purview is for all workplaces. So, any place, including government places, World Trade Centers, including hospitals, schools, colleges, institutions, organizations, firms, any kind of educative places, any kind of fitness centers, any kind of sports centers, anything that falls under the workplace sector comes, including the uh, the roadside or the waterways or anything where the work happens, still comes under POSH. So everybody has to be undergoing the awareness, having a policy in place, also having the IC committee in place, external person who's there on retainership, finally followed by the compliances and annual report. Below the age group of 18, anybody undergoing harassment comes under POXO Act, which is more to do with prevention of child sexual offences. So everybody who's 18 and above comes under the workplace under the POSH Act, and anybody below that is under the POXO Act.
Lovely.
Okay,
Lovely. Yeah. So, no more questions. Thank you so much. I mean, it was wonderful as usual, always talking to you, Rena. Dr. Rena, it's always really, I just enjoy talking to you because we've had some great moments together, and I know we both are champions and we need to move ahead, and we need an enabling environment, enablers who will help come out and guide and support women out there, children out there. So thanks once again for generating awareness on this pertinent topic of POSH for us all. I'm sure the viewers have increased their knowledge about the nuances of the act. And please remember, always effective incident reporting is critical. And please do report, because if it's happened to you, it should not happen to others. So let it not go unreported. Please do report. And there are people around. Dr. Rena also does a lot of trainings. So if you really require that, please go ahead and do that. And viewers, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all liked it and are now ready to be part of the next show, which is going to happen next week, same time, same day, right? So I'm looking forward to meeting you all next week, everybody.
thank you.
So thank you, everybody. And thank you
Thank
again, Dr. Rana. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
I
Dr.
promise.
Reshma, and thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. I think she has actually told everything that I've lost of words, but thank you, everybody, for being here. And if you ever feel you want to be an enabler of change, do come and do our ISO certifications on POSH and POXO. Enable your setups, whether it's schools or colleges or educational institutions and organizations. And I'm very proud that everybody who's graduated from here are amazing individuals, including Dr. Reshma, always ready to create a change. And I see her doing a lot of beautiful work, not only in her organizations, but also in her social ventures. So, very happy to be here. And thank you so much for always having us enable more and more people through the awareness of your wonderful talk show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.